کردن، رفتن، دیدن، زدن، گفتن، شنیدن. These are some irregular verbs in Persian. Let's see how to conjugate them. Hello everyone and welcome to my video series and Learn Persian for Beginners. In the last lesson, you learned how to conjugate regular verbs in Persian. In this lesson, we will conjugate some irregular verbs. Don't forget to subscribe into my channel for learning Persian for free and in the easiest way. So let's begin. درس 14 صرف افعال بی‌قاعده. یه بار دیگه. صرف افعال بی‌قاعده. Here are our learning objectives. We will first learn the basic conjugation rules about verb conjugation in present tense. Then we conjugate some irregular verbs and finally we do a small exercise. صرف فعل در زمان حال. We learned the structure of the verb in the previous lesson. In the case of the irregular verb, the verb stem is not achieved by removing the past and infinitive marker. The verb stem changes, but the endings are the same. Here, you can see how a normal irregular verb is conjugated in singular and plural. رفتن. من میروم، تو میروی، او میرود، ما میرویم، شما میروید، آنها میروند. This is a very common and important verb in all languages. The remaining element by removing the past marker and the infinitive marker is رف. But this is not the present stem. We can say if the remaining element is ended with f sound, we can change it to v. The v that can either have the v sound or u sound. And then have the present stem. So the present stem would be rav. Then we add the prefix mi before it. That would be mirav. Now the verb is ready to be conjugated. من میروم، تو میروی، او میرود، ما میرویم، شما میروید، آنها میروند. Do you remember in the previous lesson in the case of conjugating the verb آوردن, we removed one syllable, و, and in spoken form we said میآرم، میآری، میآرد instead of میآورم، میآوری، میآورد. Here we do the same in the case of میروم and we remove av. So in the spoken form, instead of من میروم, we say من میرم، تو میری، اون میره, and so on. Let's get to another irregular and common verb which follows the same rule as رفتن, and that is گفتن. After removing the past marker ت and the infinitive marker n, we would have گفت. The same as رفتن, it ends with ف. So that, what should we do? Yes, change ف to v. Then we would have گو. But as you see, here the v has u sound. Please watch our video series on alphabet to learn different sounds of v. The link can be found in the caption. Now, let's add the aspect marker mi before it to show that the action is not completed and conjugate it accordingly. من میگویم، تو میگویی، او میگوید. ما میگوییم، شما میگویید، آنها میگویند. Here again in spoken form, we remove one syllable, which is u sound. But this time, not only av, but also ye. Why? First, because these are irregular verbs. But the real reason is that there was no ye anywhere in the stem, nor in the endings, nor in the infinitive from the beginning. We added it because the stem ended with a vowel and the ending started with a vowel too. We put it here as a mediator to make the pronunciation easier. So the result by removing one syllable and this ye would be من میگم، تو میگی، اون میگه، ما میگیم، شما میگید، اونا میگن، ایشون میگن. Now let's move on to another verb. کردن. This is a very important verb because we use it to make many compound verbs. So if you learn how to conjugate this verb, you will learn to conjugate more than hundreds of verbs, such as یادداشت کردن، شرکت کردن، مطالعه کردن، کار کردن، توجه کردن، تماشا کردن، بازی کردن، بحث کردن, and so on. So first, remove the infinitive marker. We would have کرد. Now remove the past marker add. You would have کر. But this is not the present stem. The present stem of this verb must be learned as it is. کن. Of course, we always can find some rules for even the irregular verbs, but it is easier to memorize them. At the next step, we add می to the beginning of the verb, and that would be میکن. Now we can add the endings. من میکنم، تو میکنی، او میکند، ما میکنیم، شما میکنید، آنها میکنند. Now let's see a compound verb with کردن, and that is کمک کردن. We do the same thing as کردن and then put the non-verbal element between the subject and this verbal element. That would be من کمک میکنم، تو کمک میکنی، او کمک میکند، ما کمک میکنیم، شما کمک میکنید، آنها کمک میکنند. Don't forget about the third person singular and plural. اون کمک میکنه، اونا کمک میکنن. Let's conjugate another common verb which is used in making compound verbs. That is زدن. Again, if you learn how to conjugate it, you would be able to conjugate hundreds of compound verbs such as حرف زدن، کتک زدن، آمپول زدن، سیلی زدن، تهمت زدن، چنگ زدن، نق زدن، لاف زدن، قدم زدن, and more. So we remove an, the infinitive marker, then add past affix. The irregular present stem that must be learned is زن. Now add me to the beginning and conjugate it. من میزنم، تو میزنی، او میزند. ما میزنیم، شما میزنید، آنها میزنند. Now let's conjugate a compound verb with a verbal element. حرف زدن. You already have seen this verb when you talked about the languages that you speak. The conjugation is as follows. من حرف میزنم، تو حرف میزنی، او حرف میزند or اون حرف میزنه. ما حرف میزنیم، شما حرف میزنید، آنها حرف میزنند or اونا حرف میزنند. Don't forget to put ایشان or ایشون as well as the third person singular formally that can be conjugated by the singular verb and plural verb. The next verb, which we can find a little bit of regularity in this, is ریختن. By removing an and te, we would have ریخ. We may say that whenever a stem ends with خ, we can replace خ sound with ز, and then you would have the present stem ریز. Now you can conjugate it by adding me and the endings. من میریزم، تو میریزی، او میریزد، ما میریزیم، شما میریزید، آنها میریزند. Now let's see another verb that follows the same rule. انداختن. We remove an and te, we will have انداخ. Change خ to ز, then we would have انداز. Now add prefix me and the endings. من می اندازم، تو می اندازی، او می اندازد، ما می اندازیم، شما می اندازید، آنها می اندازند. Another important verb that is good for you to know is the verb دیدن. Remove an, then de, then you would have di. But di is not the present stem. The present stem of دیدن is been. Conjugate it. من میبینم، تو میبینی، او میبیند. ما میبینیم، شما میبینید، آنها میبینند. Now let's practice. Fill in the gaps with the suitable verb. Use these verbs to complete these sentences. The first one is رفتن. تو کجا؟ The subject is the second person singular. The answer would be تو کجا می روی, which we remove one syllable av and we would have تو کجا میری. Now with the verb دیدن. من یک ماشین. The subject is man. The suitable ending for the verb is am. The conjugation would be میبینم. Now complete this one. حرف زدن. شما فارسی. The subject is second person plural. The verb is compound, but it doesn't make any difference. We have to conjugate زدن. That would be شما فارسی حرف میزنید. Next verb is کمک کردن. آنها به من. Be careful. Here we have two pronouns, but the subject is always at the first position. So the subject is آنها. And you have to conjugate the verb according to this pronoun. That would be آنها به من کمک میکنند. Great! Hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Make sure you practice. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, you'll give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you still haven't. You can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever I upload a new video. ممنونم. خداحافظ.